Episode 2 of Season 7 unfolded like a slow-moving storm. Heavy clouds pressing down on Dixon, Kentucky, while the Slaton family battled an even darker tempest within their own walls. A storm of secrets, betrayal, and desperation that no one seemed capable of stopping. The episode opened with Amy pacing her living room, her children's toys scattered across the floor as Gage and Glenn played without, understanding that their lives were hanging by a thread in a courtroom they were too young to comprehend. Amy's hands shook as she adjusted her blouse, rehearsing answers in her head, whispering fragments of promises she hoped would convince the judge that she was more than the woman people painted her to be. In her confessional, her eyes red and glassy, she admitted she could not bear the thought of losing them, confessing that behind the staged smiles and carefully edited episodes lay sleepless nights filled with dread. The echo of bills piling high, whispers of threats, and the suffocating pressure of raising two boys under the relentless glare of the public. As the courthouse doors swung open, the cameras lingered on her strained smile. The way her shoulders squared despite the tremble in her steps, her every movement embodying both defiance and vulnerability. The judge's questions cut deep, asking how she would protect her children while balancing her own fragile health, each word landing like a stone in Amy's chest. She fought back tears, declaring that her sons were her reason to fight, her reason to endure, her reason to transform, and that she would not let anyone take them away. The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric, silence heavy enough to suffocate. And even producers admitted behind the scenes that this might be the rawest moment the show had ever captured. Yet while Amy stood in court defending her motherhood, Tammy sat cloistered in her bedroom, lit only by the pale glow of a laptop, fingers scrolling through files she had curated like weapons. An arsenal of screenshots, messages, and videos she had hoarded for years. Her confessionals turned chilling. Her voice low and deliberate as she said, people believed she had healed, believed she was happy and reformed. But beneath the facade she had been waiting, patient and cunning, collecting evidence that could shatter Amy's carefully guarded image. She clicked through folders labeled with dates and names, eyes gleaming as she murmured that she wasn't afraid to pull the trigger. Whether out of revenge or some twisted idea of truth, because once the world saw what she held, Amy's world would collapse in ways no one expected. The camera caught the faint smirk curling her lips as she typed a message to an unnamed contact, promising that when the information went public, nobody in the family, not Amy, not Chris, not even Amandu, would be ready for the fallout. Chris, meanwhile, was unraveling in his own way, the weight of whispers pressing down on him as rumors of his secret dealings gained traction online. He confronted a TLC producer in a flash of anger, demanding to know who was feeding information to the press, his voice cracking with both fury and fear, before retreating into shadows, where the cameras followed discreetly as he met with a mysterious man in a dimly lit parking lot. Their exchange was brief but damning, the flicker of cash visible as a folder passed between them, Chris muttering about leaks, about keeping things buried, about protecting what little control he had left. It was the kind of scene that begged more questions than it answered, fueling speculation that Chris's role in the family's drama was not simply that of a peacekeeper, but of a man whose own secrets could implode everything. Amanda, sensing the tension growing unbearable, confronted Tammy Slaton in one of the episode's most volatile encounters. Her voice trembled with a mixture of anger and heartbreak as she demanded to know if Tammy truly intended to destroy Amy, to rip the family apart for her own satisfaction. Tammy leaned back, smirking with the kind of cold confidence that only deep resentment could forge, and replied that she wasn't physically hurting anyone, merely unveiling truths that Amy had hidden for too long. When Amanda pushed, begging her to reconsider, Tammy shrugged, her words sharp as blades. Call it revenge, call it honesty, either way it was happening, and the fallout would be hers to command. The tension spilled into the narrative with producers cutting to shocking, never-before-seen footage that cast every sibling in a harsher light. Amy leaving her children unattended for a moment that would become fodder for critics. Tammy whispering into her phone during secret late-night calls. Chris manipulating sponsors. In shadowy negotiations to control the family's public image, confessionals became battlegrounds. Amy tearfully admitting to mistakes but accusing Tammy of twisting reality into something darker. Tammy retorting coldly that nothing was twisted, it was simply the truth, unvarnished, and Chris maintaining a stoic facade, insisting his clandestine recordings were meant to protect the family, even if they painted him as something sinister. The Slaton household itself felt like a tinderbox ready to ignite Amy, dialing her attorney in desperation. Tammy meticulously organizing her evidence into labeled folders with the eerie calm of someone preparing for war, and Chris scrambling behind the scenes to contain leaks and manage damage control, though every attempt only seemed to dig him deeper into suspicion. When the family gathered at the dinner table, the breaking point finally came. Amy accused Tammy outright of sabotage, her voice breaking under the strain of fear and betrayal, while Tammy responded with chilling composure, insisting she wasn't ruining anyone's life but merely telling truths that had been buried for too long. Amanda's composure cracked as she sobbed that all she wanted was for them to be a normal family again, begging them to stop destroying one another piece by piece. But Chris, frustrated beyond words, erupted in anger as he tried to mediate, shouting that if they couldn't control themselves then the world outside would never respect them, and perhaps never forgive them. What began as words escalated into chaos. Chairs scraping violently against the floor, the oxygen machine rattling in the background, the children's cries piercing through the shouting, the entire scene unraveling into something closer to a thriller than reality television. By the end of the episode, cliffhangers struck like lightning across an already fractured sky. Amy received an anonymous text late at night, its ominous words burning into the screen. Secrets won't stay hidden forever. Decide who you trust. Tammy, her face half hidden in shadow during her final confessional, whispered that it was only a matter of time before everything detonated, her smile betraying a dark satisfaction. Chris, scrolling on his phone, froze as he discovered photos of his secret parking lot meeting beginning to circulate online, his worst fear realized in real time. Amanda, alone and trembling in the dark, admitted through tears that she no longer knew if their family could survive what was coming, her voice cracking on the word survive as though the weight of everything had finally broken her. The closing shot pulled away from the Slaton home under the night sky, lights flickering faintly in the windows, shadows moving restlessly across the walls, the air thick with dread and anticipation, leaving viewers with the chilling sense that this was not merely another family argument or another season's drama, but the beginning of a complete unraveling that could consume them all before the cameras ever stopped rolling.